In this video, I'm introducing another measure of central tendency known as the median. And the median is the midpoint of a distribution. Okay, so to explain what I mean by the midpoint of a distribution, I'm going to go through just a very simple example. Let's imagine that I've got just three scores in my data set. So 60, 42, and 58. Now, if I'm going to be finding the median, I'm going to need to first put my data into order. The reason for this is because the median measures a position in the data, assuming that the data has been put into order. So I have to start by putting my data from smallest to largest, or from largest to smallest. It doesn't really matter. I typically like to do smallest to largest, so I'm going to do 42 and then 58 and then 60. Now once this has been done, once it's in order, all that I need to do is find the midpoint or the middle. And this is it right here. 58 is my median. And that's how you write it. Well, you don't necessarily write it with an arrow, but you just say the median is 58. Unlike the mean, the median doesn't have a symbol. Whether it's the population median or the sample median, there is no symbol. It's just the word the median. So there's my median. It's fairly simple. I'll give a slightly different definition here. Basically, it's saying the same as this, but it's just worded a bit differently. It's the number. Actually, let me rephrase that. It's the score or the point that divides the distribution into two halves. Now this is a bit redundant, but I'll say it anyways, into two equal halves. Because sometimes you'll be thinking about the median in terms of percentiles. For example, 58 here is the 50th percentile. That means that 50% of the scores in this distribution are less than or equals to that, and 50% are greater than or equals to that number. So that's what I've got written here. The score, the median is the score or point, this will become important in a moment, the score or point that divides the distribution into two equal halves. Now the reason it says point there is because the example that I gave, aside from being fairly small, which makes it a fairly simple one to work with, also has a special characteristic that changes how I find the median. There are 1, 2, 3, there is an odd number of scores in my example. Watch what happens when you have an even number of scores. So I'm just going to take the same data set, 42, 58, 60, but then I'll add another score, so 74. Now where's my median here? It's definitely not going to be the 58 because there's only one score, 42, that is less than or equals to that value, or that is less than that value, whereas there's two scores that are greater than that value. So that's not really the halfway point. My 58 won't divide things into two equal halves. Instead, the median is going to fall here between the 58 and the 60. Remember how I said that it's the score or the point. So here we can't choose an actual score that's part of the data set. We're going to choose a point instead. Now we can't just draw a picture of like a dashed line and say that's where our median is. This is not going to be a satisfying answer for anybody who's asking for the median for a data set. Instead, we're going to assign a value. But the way that we assign the value that falls between 58 and 60 is by making use of something that we just learned, the mean. We're going to take the mean of just these two values. If you find that you're dealing with an even set of scores, you will naturally place the median in between the two middlemost scores. But we can't say 58 and 60 is the median, or we can't say that the median is between 58 and 60. We have to give an actual value. So we take the average of those two values. We take the mean. And the mean is 58 plus 60 divided by 2. And this gives me 59. 59 is a point between 58 and 60. It's the halfway point. And so that is our median. The median in this case would be 59. Okay, so to recap, the following are important characteristics that you should recall when asked about the median. First of all, there is no symbol or formula. You simply order the data, then you locate the middle score or point, and you use the average of the two middle points when your sample size is even. Beyond this, because it could be between 2 points, the median is not necessarily a member of your data set. Remember, when we had to find the average of 58 and 60 and we got 59, 59 was not part of the original data. And I guess the last thing that we can say is that the median divides the data into two equal halves. In other words, it's just another another way of saying the 50th percentile. Okay, so that's everything you'll need to know for now, at least, about the median.